Guys, gals, it's a Thursday lunchtime and we are, what are we? We're day one of the general election campaign here in the UK, and it is already offering all the inspiration and joy of a cat in the middle of a road choosing which lane he wants to get hit on. Anyway, so what's going on? We've had Sunak at the lectern, obviously. That was last night. We've had his official campaign launch, from which he ejected Sky News, presumably because he was worried that actual journalists might report him accurately. But thank goodness GB News and the Daily Mail were there on hand to keep that from happening. Anyway, since all of that, we have had individual Tory MPs beginning their own, constituency and personal, political, ambition-y campaigns ahead of the GE.
A general election has been called. It's going to take place on the 4th of July.
Good for you, Jim. Good on you, fella. Straight out the gate, weren't you? It's good you've got ahead.
I want to ask for your vote to support the Conservative Party, to support a party that believes in supporting...
All right, no. just no.
Freedom of the individual.
There's a reason that these clowns are doing, selfie videos, isn't it? Instead of actually going onto panels where they might be scrutinised, actually interviewed. And it's because the crayon-flavoured dribble that they're coming out with is demonstrable rubbish.
A party that believes in supporting freedom of the individual.
Freedom of the individual. Really? Oh, okay. How about protesters, Jakey?
Freedom of the individual.
What about women's rights? Or black kids getting stopped and searched?
Freedom of the individual.
Is freedom of the individual... what's it going to be like? It's going to be like the Met Police out on the street going Oi! Oi, lad, come over here. Turn out your pockets. I want to see what's in your pockets. And the kids are going to be like, nah, man, it's cool, bruv. It's cool. I voted Conservative.
Freedom of the individual.
Oh, did you? All right, okay. Yeah, no, it's fine, lad. Leave him alone. He's fine.
Believes in low taxation.
That believes in low taxation. Low taxation. Low tax.
In low taxation.
Maybe low tax for people like him. I mean, do we think he believes in low taxation, really? Do we? With the highest tax burden in 70 years. I think Jacob is to low taxation what I am to holding open doors for boomers. I mean, I believe in it. I think it probably should happen, but it's doesn't mean that it ever does. It's just a comforting fantasy belief that I have. It's aspiration is what it is, which is perfect, because I don't know if you if any of you remember this, but the Tories are actually the party of aspiration. So they are. And they aspire to lower your taxes. They aspire to let us all get on and improve our situation, don't they? They aspire to let us do that. They just concurrently aspire to put a series of obstacles in our way to stop us from doing that. From private schools to high rents, high mortgages, and high taxes. Put all of that in your way to stop you from achieving it concurrently.
Controlling our borders in ensuring that there is opportunity for all, but not state-directed control of our lives, that we believe in maintaining the maximum freedom for all the people of this country.
I mean, who is this for? Do the people of Somerset, his constituency, do we think they really care about this stuff? Do they?
The Labour Party, well, you know how hard left they have been. You know that Keir Starmer supported Jeremy Corbyn, who wanted to get us out of NATO.
And why do they always bring up Corbyn? Why is it still, even now? Yes, he worked for him. But he also fired him. Calling Starmer hard left because he worked for Jeremy Corbyn. That is like calling the kid that worked for Philip Schofield a wrong-un because he worked for Philip Schofield.
In power for a long time, and I recognise people feel like it's time for change. Actually, we represent the change that's needed. Labour represent more of the same. They might have different faces, but they would be the ones carrying on the failed British state that has caused so many problems for our country.
I mean, how can they say this stuff with a straight face?
Actually, we represent the change that's needed. Labour represent more of the same.
14 years of Tory, right? That's what we've had. 14 years of decline. But we need to vote for more Tory to get change. Because otherwise we'll end up with Labour, which would somehow be more Tory.
Actually, we represent the change. Labour represent more of the same.
I mean, if voting for Labour is actually more of the same Torydom, and switching to Starmer is actually still Corbyn, well, this presents quite a quandary, doesn't it, dear viewers? Because how does one change then? You know, if the things we change to are mere reflections of the prior state, I mean, is change itself even real? Christ, I was not prepared for such intellectual horseplay this early on in the campaign. Elsewhere this afternoon, we've had Rishi Sunak arriving in his high-vis at a warehouse in Derbyshire, fielding questions from the public, which he appeared to take at random. Though, now it's turned out that the questions he took, right, they were from raised hands. People like, I have a question, Prime Minister, and those raised hands were actually attached to Tory councillors. So the whole thing is staged. Like, is this the sort of start to the campaign that CCHQ had in mind? Is it? Is this what they've been planning this whole time, that they haven't been announcing the GE date? This is what they've been planning, is it? You know, a rainy announcement, a drowned rat, and, you know, washed up rat, all of the memes, the pretending that they are the agents of change, ejecting journalists from press events, and now concurrently staging their own questions. Is this how they imagined this campaign would kick off? I mean, I would never profess to be one of the great election strategists of our time. I would not do that. But I think if I was one of Rishi Sunak's spads at this moment, I think even I'd probably be like, yeah, maybe it is just best if you hide in a fridge. Anyway, it's all happening, isn't it? It's all kicking off. Now, I expect probably the next thing that we will start seeing is, you know, the future Tory leadership hopefuls trying to grandstand and, you know, out one another. So I expect we'll start seeing Kemi Badenoch and Penny Mordaunt doing big speeches. But, you know, what are my predictions even worth these days? I was certain that Nigel Farage was going to come back as soon as they announced the general election date, and he would be greeted like it was the second coming of Jesus or something. But no, it turns out that the archetypal grand wizard of patriotism very much sees his future in the United States now, because he published a letter this morning in which he ostensibly says, "I'm not standing in the UK because America is more important." Which is weird, isn't it? It's a weird stance to take, that, for somebody like him, for somebody like Nigel Farage, for political figures like him, with all their talk of sovereignty and independence, that he would be this keen to just suck off an insurrectionist fascist of a foreign state. It's odd behaviour for such a patriot. I mean, it's always been obvious for as long as we've known Farage that he surfs on the grift of the time. From Brexit to net zero to the ECHR to cameo videos. I mean, I don't suppose it should surprise any of us, really, that if he thinks there's more money to be made riding Trump's coat or jumpsuit tails over in America, then that is precisely where Nigel Farage will go. So, yeah, maybe there's something in that. Maybe there's a lesson or something that we can take from this. You know, for every plastic patriot that rises to the very top of the fascist right over here, from Truss to Farage to Rishi Sunak and all of their reported aspirations to go stateside. Maybe there is some way that we can benefit from this penchant, right? Maybe there's some way that we can leave a breadcrumb trail of Fox News guest passes and temporary American visas just up one of those staircase lorries, lead them all the way up and into a plane, ideally a Singapore Airlines jet, but I'm not fussy. And then we just, let it take off, fly them away, and dump them in Rwanda. I'm just saying, maybe there's some way that we can use this penchant for fifth gear patriotism that somehow seems to graduate to American subservience so willingly. But yeah. Anyway, let's wish him well with his future endeavours. Let's wish the very best for Nigel Farage as he goes stateside. And I know that sounds sarcastic, but honestly, I hope it goes well for him. Truly, I do. Though, honestly, could one of you pre-warn him? Could one of you just give him a tap on the shoulder just before he fully nails his colours to the Trump mast? Call him, text him, go through a DM on Cameo, whatever you need to do, just give him this pre-warning, right? Just say, look, mate, Nige, before you nail your colours to the mast over there, please just be warned, okay? And this is going to sound a bit weird. This is going to sound like it's coming a little bit out of left field, right? Apparently, what could happen out there is if you help Donald Trump get elected, if Donald Trump wins the US election in November, if he gets the presidency again, apparently you could somehow end up with more Biden. I know it sounds weird, but apparently that's how it works now.